My name is Sarah Miller, and I'm advocating for the banning of violent video games by the federal government. Violent video games expose children of young ages to shooting, blood, and other bad things. These games provide a gateway for children to be curious about guns. In many of these games, the goal is to kill as many people as possible. In other words, video games rewards players for simulating violence and thus enhances the learning of violent behaviors. Studies by Silburn and Williamson found in the Journal of Applied Developmental Psychology show that when violence is rewarded in video games, players exhibit increased aggressive behavior compared to players of video games where violence is punished. In addition, violent video games desensitize players to real-life violence. It is common for victims in video games to disappear off-screen when they are killed, or for players to have multiple lives. In a 2005 study by Bruce D. Bartholow, it was shown that violent video game exposure has been linked to reduced P300 amplitudes in the brain, which is associated with desensitization to violence and increases in aggressive behavior. Furthermore, violent video games teach youth that violence is an acceptable conflict-solving strategy and an appropriate way to achieve one's goals. A 2009 study by Ingrid Muller found that youth who play violent video games have lower beliefs in the use of nonviolent strategies and are less forgiving than players in nonviolent video games. After hearing all these bad things about violent video games, you may be wondering what makes them different from comics, storybooks, movies, and television. Why not ban all media that contain violence? The difference in video games is the interactive and role-playing aspect of video games. Kids feel they are the ones doing the killing and feel enjoyment out of it. To put it another way, violent video games cause players to associate pleasure and happiness with the ability to cause pain in others. Moreover, since violent video games require active participation, repetition, and identification with the violent character, young children can easily confuse fantasy violence with real-world violence. Thus, young children may mimic the actions they see in violent video games. In fact, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the #1 way children learn is by observing, imitating, and adopting behaviors. This phenomenon will only get worse as technology advances and game controllers allow more physical interaction. In conclusion, the Pew Research Center reported in 2008 that 97% of youth aged 12 to 17 played some sort of video game, and that 2/3 of them played action and adventure games that contain violence. In addition, a separate analysis found that more than half of all video games rated by the ESRB contain violence, including more than 90% of those rated as appropriate for 10 years or older. Appropriate for children 10 years or older. 10-year-olds are way too young to be learning about guns and violence. I mean, would you want your 10-year-old to know what a gun can do? I'm sure the answer is no. At least with television, parents can easily tell what's suitable for their kid by what channel it's on. Also, parents can block certain channels from view. With violent video games, parents don't really understand what their kids are playing and what kind of impact it has on them. Even if some parents knew and didn't buy them, they can't control what other parents let their own kids do. Their child could end up playing these games at their friend's house or hearing about it in schools. Banning video games that contain violence by the federal government will stop children from learning things that they shouldn't, and will also help the parents that are trying to protect their children and do the right thing.